There we go.
Okay, so we
All
are
We're
live.
live.
All right.
There we go. We're in it now.
Where we at, Chris? Where we at?
We've got 1 hour, a 1 hour special. Okay. And we are live at the NCI Summit.
Nice.
And so this is a live, if you're out there watching, this is a live show. And Mike, just so you know, here's the comment section here.
Oh, let's
keep
it.
Tabs on that in case we get some
it.
action coming in. All right, let's get right into what I want to talk about. Okay, so who do we have here first? My co-host, Michael Cianfrocco, right here. Everybody knows him. It's the funny man. I've got Tim DeStagio. Did I say that right, Tim?
It's one of the 10 accepted pronunciations.
Right. It's tough.
Man. I feel you, dude.
DeStagio, DeStagio. Even my own family pronounces it differently.
Cianfrocco, Cianfranco. I get it every time.
And
dude.
So also want to introduce Zachary Ortwine. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Real quickly, you guys, whoever wants to go first, doesn't matter. Introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about what you're doing today in the industry.
Go ahead, Zach.
Sure. So my name is Zach. I've been primarily a duct cleaning contractor for the last 7 years full time. More recently, I've taken on duct renovation projects. So really focus on the duct systems, fixing the issues that I find while I'm out in the field, and then looking for opportunities to refer work back to my HVAC partners that give me their customers.
So you've got a working relationship with HVAC contractors. So you're sometimes the first, or more than often, the first line of defense. You go in and you're passing work to these guys.
Yeah.
That's not how I've heard the duct cleaning world. It's kind of been opposite, which is awesome. We're gonna get into that.
We like that.
I'm shocked we got duct cleaning guys here.
Yeah.
Like
That's amazing.
I'm blown away.
And I'm Tim DeStagio. I currently am an HVAC consulting contractor, designer, and trainer, and I occasionally roast bad players on my cheesy videos with my 14 followers.
We enjoy those videos very much.
I'm a fan,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got like 3 of my 14 fans right here.
That's
Everyone's favorite duct cleaner. Hey, I got 3 extra spots in my truck. Need a job right now. Give discounts.
So Zach, you got in touch with me. How long has it been?
About a year now.
Has it been a year? Wow. Okay. So I just kind of want to break the ice of what we're going into.
Yeah.
Full frontal. Like duct cleaning has been something in previous years that I have said, I don't know if I'm down with it. I don't know if there's a big need for that. I didn't fully understand the trade. Full frontal. It's just something that was kind of lost on me. Kind of like when Brian was talking about power with inverters and transmission, and he was kind of going into consistent high voltage, and then he took it to another level about what's happening from the power company, and I'm like, I don't know a lot about that, so that's fun. So it's fun to learn new things.
I apologize too. I've been very hard on the duct cleaning guys, kind of like Tim is on kind of the chucking the trucks.
We're going to company talking about duct cleaning, but
did you?
Yeah, but they don't do what he does, but yeah, we'll get
right. I didn't even know that existed.
So
I love it.
So we're going to reduce Mike's salary right here, for being such a bad sport. But what you're doing is different, and I want to get into what the duct cleaning industry, like yourself, are doing. That's different than what we've been exposed to. We've obviously been exposed to probably the bad players.
Yes.
So we want to have you talk about what does a good player look like.
So I would say in the duct cleaning industry, it's unregulated. You're going to have a whole spectrum of quality of what you can get. And there's a lot of people who get less than good quality in the service they receive. So they have a bad experience, and it feeds the bad experiences, kind of reputation that's occurred over the years. And then you have the duct cleaning guys that I'm serious about it. It's my full-time career, and I want to do good work and get better each day. Mm-hmm. And they do their NADCA training and certifications. NADCA is the National Air Duct Cleaner Association.
Okay.
I'm learning stuff.
Yeah, really invest in themselves as providers of the service and seek to understand, what happens when we clean a system.
So Zach, here's one thing I'm kind of with Tim. I kind of roasted a cleaning guy, and my wife scolded me for it because I shouldn't do that, and I shouldn't do that, right? I need to be a better person in life. But
What are you trying to
sometimes
say
I
about
just,
me?
I don't know, man. Maybe
We're
you gotta
working
be a
on
better
ourselves,
person, bro.
you know. Hey.
You know, maybe you get more followers, Tim, if you were a better person.
Maybe. But I went from 8 followers to 14 ever since I started doing like roast videos. So
Oh
that's
my
the biggest
God.
growth jump I've had. But yeah,
So,
we were talking about
Don't
that.
get rid of them. If you do,
So-
put them in the private DMs.
I want to hear a little bit, Zach, about your test in, test out process, because I think we've talked a
Yeah.
little bit, and
This
that's
is
what's the
interesting. Yeah.
differentiator, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm
let's-
pretty detail oriented just as an individual. So when I get to a home, first thing I'm doing is I'm setting up my air advice monitor and just letting that get some baseline air quality info of the living space.
Wow.
And I'm going straight from there to the unit to start getting my true flow measurements.
Okay.
So those are the first two things that I do.
And for the people that don't know
Hold on.
air advice,
Hold on.
throw a little.
Yeah.
Tell you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Talk
Mike,
about
tell
that.
Mike
because
what
air advice is not. It's
I think that's what I
And then
heard.
tell Chris what True Flow is.
That's yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to know what this
Yeah.
is about.
So air advice, it's an air quality monitor. You set it on, horizontal surface, plug it in, and you just leave it for 30 minutes. You don't have to do anything.
And you have to recalibrate it once a year, right?
Yeah, it gets
you gotta send it
recalibrated
in, and so
yearly.
this isn't like
Yeah.
one
This-
of those.
Yeah, it's just not from
Amazon-
Walmart. That's what I wanted
Yeah,
you
no,
to get
no.
it at.
This is the Mac Daddy
Yeah.
of a tool. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the True Flow.
Yeah.
And then,
that's
so
amazing.
I show the client like an air advice report example
Cool.
and a true flow report example. And I say, that machine's going to measure and provide this report.
Right.
I'm going to go get the measurements with the true flow, go get the static pressure set up and measure your airflow, your static, and your system performance. Get
Yeah.
a good baseline.
Yeah, Adam McCoy said he had no
Hold on.
idea there was a certification.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. I
there's
only
certification.
learned about a year ago that there was one just because I was roasting duct cleaners online, and then somebody had certification. They were like,
You
you know, there's
roasted
some-
ducks. What would you just say?
duct cleaners. Yeah.
They
But ducks the
feathers in?
animals also. Like I don't like the cut of their jib either. But I want to go back. So let me get this straight. You're using a True Flow grid as a duct cleaner. And we
Yes.
got HVAC contractors out there that are selling change outs.
Thank you.
And they're not even checking static pressure. This guy is showing you guys up.
Blowing
And
me
once
away.
I find you, I'm going to roast you, and I'm going to use you as an example.
Right?
Oh wow.
This
Watch out.
dude just bumped the bar, so now
Tim,
everybody's a
Yeah,
jamoke
we all
now.
got to step up
You
our
know
game. Like
what?
we all
They're
got
all
to
Tim's
jamokes.
throwing down the gauntlet, man. He's basically said, "I'm coming for you.
I'm
Nobody's
coming for you.
safe."
Nobody say
He's
you
like
better
the
be checking
HVAC
static
Grim
pressure.
Reaper.
I use the air advice and the true flow to actually help establish those relationships with HVAC companies. So I was like,
Okay.
okay, I will at a minimum maybe collect some useful data for you and your clients.
Yeah. So
And,
this is like a no matter what. Those two tools they hit when you
Every
walk
job.
in. Every job. It's awesome. That's
And they're
wild.
like,
Yeah.
what's that? What's static pressure? What's
Yeah.
that you're talking about? So do you ever have to like educate an HVAC contractor?
An HVAC contractor,
Like to-
not quite as much as a homeowner.
Okay.
But I do say, hey, these are, we have third party generated reports. I'm not fudging the numbers
Right.
here.
That's
Right.
And that's a really important part of the trust building with them. And I don't sell them on the other than like duct modifications. I don't sell them an air quality product. I refer that back to my HVAC partners.
Oh, I got to
And
get
that-
one of you guys in my area. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
great
so-
deal.
Because
Awesome, dude.
I'm not the guy selling them the final product.
Yeah.
I'm the guy saying, hey, here's your test results, and
Zach,
this is what
you're-
it takes to fix.
You're kind of saying your money's made in kind of labor. It's a labor intensive job, so there's money
Yeah.
to be made there, and you know it. And so you go straight for the labor plunge and say, "Let me really clean your ductwork."
But you're
let me
acting
coat
as a
it."
consultant, which is amazing because
Yeah.
I think you're the only person doing duct cleaning that I would say this dude's like a legit airflow consultant too, that's very impressive, man.
And what was the name
Yeah.
of your company?
Southeast Clean Air Solutions.
Southeast Cleaners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And
talking
we're
to a guy.
based out of
Based out of Richmond, Virginia.
Virginia.
I was talking to another guy. It was a duck
Okay,
guy
so-
earlier. Yeah.
So we walk in, we hit those two tests. You have your consultation. Let's
Yep.
just say you've got a situation on your hands.
Sure.
Let's lay the board out there, guys. What are we talking about? Really
Crazy cat lady, 17 cats.
Yep.
She shears sheep inside her house. Also,
Yeah.
she's a hoarder. She also burns like all these scented candles. She's
Seen
part of a pyramid scheme for what's the essential oil? So you got all
Yeah.
the dust.
The essential oil is my
VOCs.
favorite.
Yes.
She's
So
got the pink Cadillac,
Yeah.
for selling Avon.
right, you walk in there and it smells like a French bordello. What
Yeah.
what do you do?
Well, I'm going to start with inquiring about, have you done activities recently that are contributing to this? Are we going to have false spikes on the air report, or
Right.
are you prolonging your exposure to these indoor air pollutants by just having bad activities as a homeowner?
Right.
You know? And then from there, I'm going to say, hey, we should certainly try to control the things we can. You know, we're not going to control too much off gassing in a new home
Yeah.
construction.
And
But-
why are you masking the whole house in fragrance?
Yeah.
You know, like
No,
good questions like that.
Are you diving all the way into the house? Or are you trying to stay focused on the equipment and the ductwork and the grills and that's
Oh, I'm
it?
going into the house too. I have
So-
like
so-
thermal camera that I go around
Oh
with,
wow,
Okay.
and I do room to room pressure testing with the DG 1000.
dude, we need
So-
to get you a blower door and let you be like totally
Right?
legit. Like,
Sponsor me.
I will go in and help this guy get a blower door. Like,
Let's do
totally.
it. Yeah.
So, I want to hear, this is what I want to hear. So like you do the 2 tests, you go in, house is a wreck. You test, you know, shows dirty ducts and stuff like that. Let's just say it is one of those air handler, typical air handlers down south. It's got a little mold on the blower wheel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The house has got the schematic tag has got its little
Yeah,
mold
yeah.
spots on it, but not
Yeah.
terrible. Coal's a little impacted, but it's not freezing up.
Yeah.
Are you taking those pictures too and making that part of the introduction? Say, hey, this is what I see.
Absolutely.
You know, but it's not a scare tactic. It's like, hey, this is a visual. I just took pictures of it. Or
And for me, a lot of the time, if we do get a system that's reasonably well maintained, or there's not insulation in the plenum box, usually we don't see mold issues spread further down line of the duct of the supply if
So-
it's not in that.
so
first-
I think you're taking us down the road to those examples. If what I'm hearing, you're saying that when it's an externally lined sheet metal job, you typically, if there's some mold present or something, or bacterial growth, or
You can't say mold,
you can
man.
say mold,
yeah.
that it stays centrally located in the air handler and it's not all through the duct system. But
Correct.
But you're saying when it is internally lined, that
9 times out of 10, it's
it's-
going to have some fuzzy
Uh-huh.
stuff in it.
and
Yeah.
would you say it's usually in the first couple feet, or,
Yeah.
and not all the way, or is it all the way typically?
Almost every time it's right in the supply plenum and maybe 1 or 2 feet past it. And
Yeah.
That's where I see
And
the
it's-
thickest.
yeah.
So how
right.
do you?
Yeah.
So let's say you show them the pictures. You know you can kind of prove that there's
There's stuff in there that
significance.
shouldn't be there.
So is the first attack from performance from the true flow test? If the true flow says, oh, we have bad performance, and performance meaning we've got low airflow, we've got this, we've got a performance problem, or do you go after the cleaning side first?
The first attack for me is trying to identify the underlying cause. What's contributing to moisture carryover of the coil? What's contributing to microbial growth? Do we
Right.
have a filtration issue? Do we have a
75 Yankee
leaky
candles.
ducts? Yeah.
Or filter bypass, or
And
So
I-
let's say we've got
Get
filter
them at the duct
bypass,
leakage.
but not too bad, but a little bit of filter bypass, like some of that.
yeah.
We've got a moldy air handler and a little bit of moldy supply plenum, but we also have a true flow test that's showing low airflow and a little bit of high static. What comes first, cleaning or performance?
If there's active growth, usually I'm going to pursue the cleaning first and or I usually will suggest removing the insulation, sealing down the fibers, lining the outside of it, like insulate the outside. If they don't have the money for that as a lower cost alternative, I could say there are other options that are available. They're not quite as guaranteed, but they are better than leaving it alone.
And is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So there are products called fiberglass surface repair coatings.
Oh, I
That's
thought
from
it was
the
just
original
mastic.
study. No, these are completely different
I've seen this
products designed
before.
to seal down the fiberglass fibers.
Yeah.
Because over time, as the insulation liner
Yeah.
goes through different seasons, as the airflow
Yeah.
starts to
Yeah.
degrade and
So
release fiber.
John Ellis loves duckboard.
Oh,
Did he tell you? He
No.
loves it.
we all do.
so
Yeah.
when you install ductboard, and for those who've done it or maybe who haven't done it, when you cut it and the ductboard is exposed, once you cut that black liner on top, you're really supposed to paint that with mastic, right? That way the fibers aren't just constantly leaving the cut
that
seams.
never happens.
And so, yeah,
No.
it really ever gets coated. So, but what'll happen is as ductboard gets some age on it, and it gets cold, it gets dry, it gets cold. You see that black liner starts to peel and separate. I've seen that
You
countless
start coming
times.
out of the supply registers, you'll see that black stuff coming out of there.
So it's a longevity problem, not so much as a brand new installation problem. Most of the time with ductboard, it's like years of old ductboard will kind of deteriorate. That's when I think the issues could definitely be disturbed. And then you do a change out on that old ductwork and then leave it because they don't have the money to do the ductwork, and now you've disturbed it. That's when I think a big problem.
Yeah, because Adam said the same. Are you cleaning the internally lined duct or flex duct? Okay.
Yeah, so we're cleaning the internally lined duct, and then we're coating it before we turn the system back on. Because if you clean it, you don't coat it, you're going to blow a bunch of fiberglass in the air, and you're going to be one of those bad duct cleaners.
How does one go about cleaning old ductboard where the liner is sensitive to disruption?
Depending on how sensitive it is, I would start with contact vacuuming with a brush, like a HEPA vacuum, using a brush attachment.
And is that done by physically like cutting a hole somewhere, getting in, or do you coming up through the registers and like?
So I'll try to remove the branch takeoffs of the duct and then reset those in after reaching in, getting everything.
Okay, so if you got flex ducts, let's just say connected, you'll pop it off and you'll come in through the collars, is what you're saying.
If you got ductboard, you don't have dampers in there. I mean, let's face it, nobody's putting in dampers if you put it in ductboard.
Right.
I mean, in Louisiana.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Real?
Seriously? I believe it. Yeah.
Occasionally we'll have to cut into the ductboard.
Yeah.
But I try to do it as minimal as is necessary to access the full.
So I don't know, it's always interesting to see different products around the country, but like in our part of the country, there's these ductboard collars specifically made for ductboard, and they're actually longer before the tabs bend over, and they're made for ductwork, but the collar, they fit really freaking snug. I mean, they don't air seal, but it almost feels like it. We still paint them,
but they have a flange on them that stops it. Okay.
Yeah, like a heavy duty flange.
So sort of like an airtight collar, but the tabs are longer and there's no adhesive on it.
Yes.
It's got a flange on there so that you don't push it all the way through.
And the collar ring is kind of not 45, maybe more like a 22 that kind of crunches right onto the ductboard surface. I mean, I like them. When I didn't know any better, I'd put them in and I'd paint on the outside. Going back and like being more of a professional than I was, I would do things differently.
We're all trying to work up.
Here, this would be my work up if I was back in the game. When I'd cut that ductboard collar, right? And I'd cut that hole, I would then paint that with mastic, which is what I never did. Then I'd put the collar in. I would probably take that collar and I would run mastic around the ring, and then I'd hit it, boom, and tab it, done. And then I would be sealing the ductboard, and I'd be sealing the collar on the inside, which is going to be a way better seal than just painting the outside ring.
That's what I did on my kid's bedroom. Like it's not a regular custom.
Painted the bedroom with
kids.
mastic?
No, I took out an 8. It was an 8 going to 3 bedrooms, 3 7s, and a bath, right? And they had an 8 going to it, so I bumped it up to a 10, and I cut it like you said. So I was like, oh man, I got all this fiber in there now. And the baby at the time, it was like 7 years ago.
It's good for him, man.
Yeah, I was a little fiber is good.
Yeah,
so
it helps their immune system as an adult.
I painted the whole inside of that box. The mixing box was small, and then I put on the end of the grill, I put like a T-shirt and then turned the AC on.
What's the MERV rating on a T-shirt?
Right, exactly. Fiberglass catcher.
We got to figure that out.
Yeah, we got
next test.
We got to ask John Ellis about that.
Trying to take care of the kids.
What's the thread count on the shirt?
That is cool. So, where do we go from here?
Well,
like we're
one thing that's important with any fiberglass liner is that if you look at it under a microscope, you can see how the hairs will catch dust and dirt and get embedded within the fibers. It's not always, I wouldn't say you can 100% clean and remove everything off of ductboard or liner. I would say you can clean the surface to a point that it's acceptable of a coating without delaminating.
So it's a good filter.
Like biological growth happens because we have water, we have the spores, and then we have food. And so we can't control really the spores. I mean, maybe a little bit with better filtration. We can control the water, and we can kind of control the food a little bit with filtration. But it seems like the one inherent problem with ductboard is that it hangs on to the dust. It's like little magnets and little things that just grab on the duct versus smooth metal, which some of that is going to kind of slide on by.
Right.
So it seems like to me this would improve it, but this still is not like a substitute for smooth metal. But do you know kind of what the difference is? Has that been tested?
Yeah, there are different like surface friction tests over.
I was going to ask, are
Coated
you
duct
talking about a
versus-
friction rate test
That's
here?
it.
Is that what we're talking about, Tim?
Just like, that's actually pretty smooth. Yeah, so like obviously
wow.
smooth metal dust is not going to grab onto smooth metal at the same rate that it would be grabbed on and retained
Right.
by the fibrous board. But this still is not smooth metal, but it is definitely an improvement.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So how does it? You said there's been some tests, and how does it compare? Or am I completely
it
talking
actually-
out of my rear end? And I should
No.
stop
And don't
talking?
tell me there's
So-
Teflon in it.
With this sample is done with a paintbrush. It was just brushed on as a sample cutout.
Yeah.
Right.
When you apply it with an airless paint sprayer and you atomize the actual particles, you get a very even distribution across.
Like painting
the-
cabinet doors.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Wow.
So you get a nice smooth
Put a
surface.
little clear coat on there, man. A little pinstripe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little Harlequin. Changes colors depending on what angle you're looking
That's
at.
extra.
Yeah.
That's extra.
That's cool,
It's not quite as good as like smooth metal,
but it's pretty close.
but it's very
It's
close
very impressive.
and it's cleanable without releasing fiber. So if this now gets dirty after it's been coated, it can be clean like it's metal.
So how much
Right.
of the duct system are you? How far that down past the air handler are you doing? You doing
The
whole-
entire trunk
thing?
line.
Trunk line,
So if you
return
get called
also
in,
and
it's
all
like,
that?
hey, if you see mold or bacterial growth in the supply duct system, it's getting the whole coating.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
gotcha.
I clean any fiberglass system, I require to coat it or I won't do it
Yeah.
because I'm not going to clean it and then blow a bunch of fibers into the.
So I want to get back to microscope topic because that's fun. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about why you're at NCI, right? Because we've dove deep into, why we should clean it.
Yeah.
But you're at an HVAC conference, okay?
Yeah.
What are you looking to do here? Like, what is the
Yeah,
goal?
kid. What are you doing
Like,
here?
what
So-
are you doing here right now?
Yeah, I guess for me it's I want to be a good referral partner because I don't pay for leads. I don't pay a dime for marketing and I stay busy, so I want to be able to return the favor that I don't have to spend there.
Yeah.
Advancing my knowledge and getting better at teeing up or an opportunity back to my contractors, learning how to identify when there is an opportunity I didn't see before.
Yeah.
But you've told me, we've talked about this. You do ductwork installation.
Yeah.
This is what blows my mind.
That's loyal.
Dude's in the duct cleaning business.
Uh-huh.
He's doing the ductwork installs,
That's
right?
And I'm going to tell you, it's hard to find contractors that want to do. Everyone just wants to change the box out. And
Right.
the duct installation, let's face it, it sucks. Profit margin isn't as good as selling equipment sometimes, but those guys are hard to find, and you're worth your salt, definitely.
Yeah, there's a big opportunity for duct renovation work.
But
Yeah.
you got to know how to size the duct. You got to take all the readings so that you don't go back with crappy duct system, and that's why you're here.
Right. That's exactly why I'm here.
Yeah.
So he's
There's
looking. So Zach, your mission, your next level of growth you want to show as a performance metric to your customers when you get into a duct renovation. You want to say, not only did I do this and make your life better from an IAQ standpoint of view,
Right.
I made the system work better,
Mhm.
and I can now prove that.
Quantify it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
getting like a double whammy to your
Yeah.
client.
I'm very data driven in my solutions.
And inadvertently, you're making the air conditioner guys like life better because you're reducing the HVAC guys' callbacks. If he did worst case scenario, he does a replacement, right?
Right.
And then
Yep.
there's high static pressure, a little bit of low airflow, which is probably going to create a little bit of bacterial growth. You come in and do what you do. You just made that guy's life easier, and he didn't even know it.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, they
Because
do
he's
know
gonna
it.
get blamed for those weird smells and the things that come from.
We have thinner coils now than they used to be. Things are they're more vulnerable to failing. And if you have bad airflow going across things for one reason or another, it's usually through the duct system, not the unit.
So I got one. Man, we're going in so many tangents.
I
but
know.
love it.
Stay focused. It's the coffee.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
I just
And
wanted
then
to
we got
say
Tim
that
here. I'm like,
he showed
yeah,
me this,
frazzled dazzled.
this chart here of sheet metal and coated ductboard and the performance. So it's a little chart. It's a temperature or pressure
Friction
drop.
comparison.
So your
pretty much
static's
friction
going
rate.
down, Tim?
there's a friction rate over velocity, and essentially the sheet metal and the coated ductboard are almost mirroring each other. You know that chart
I
that we
see
always
that.
use, that
Right.
like flex duct and sheet metal. When
Yep.
flex duct is installed correctly, it actually performs really close to sheet metal.
Yep.
It's very close to that kind of performance. Those two lines run almost congruently, the yellow and the blue line. So you could take a coated, you could coat ductboard with this stuff, and it performs almost identical, good enough to sheet metal.
At a
And
fourth
that-
of the price.
Exactly.
So
And
let's
that's-
just say we're pretty close to 900 feet per minute. Let's just say
Yeah.
it looks like 850. So highest design, not you shouldn't exceed 900s, but you're close to that. It looks to me like if at a static pressure before you coat it, on this system, this example that's displayed, we're running like a 0.18, and then once it was coated, we're running a 0.14. So about a 0.04, 0.05 drop
That's-
from the coating, which is close to
that's
sheet
a
metal.
duct improvement in itself.
I mean,
That's crazy.
That's an air upgrade in itself.
That's
Right.
your that's getting your supply register grill pressure drop back, essentially. Right. You think about it from that
actually
Right.
a little bit better.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your grill. Yep.
Interesting. Okay, so
And yeah.
I scolded you last night on that, but I think I
That's
was wrong.
strange.
I told him, I said, I don't think you're going to get a huge win on that out of that, but I was wrong.
And this
There's a
dude
little bit of a
shows-
win.
Crazy.
Let's measure.
So I have a random question. I always kind of I've been in tons of air handlers that are not clean, right?
Yeah.
They're just rampant. You just get tired of looking at them. How does one really clean that? Because it's
Thank
just
you.
everywhere.
question.
How do you clean all of that and
Yeah.
actually get it back to looking like new? Now I've seen you do it commercially. You shared videos with me, and I've cleaned some air handlers, big ones like that, probably like you have. I've never used steam though in commercial, but I went at it with chemicals and good chemicals and all that, but I've never seen anybody do it to that level in a residential unit.
Well, you got
Sure.
steam?
I have a wet steam pressure washer that we use for chemical free
Oh, wow.
cleaning and health environment.
If you have never seen that video, just for anybody watching, if you've never, you should share that video somehow. We need to get it out there. If you see a steamed, clean air handler commercially, it's freaking wild, man.
Really?
It brings it back to like new. We're talking amazing stuff.
Wow.
But how do you do that in a residential air handler? Because that's a different
So-
game.
Yeah, in a residential air handler, I'm always pulling the blower to the extent that I can get it out. There are some apartments that have it in front of the
Oh.
coils, so I don't pull coils. I don't step on my HVAC guys' toes. I don't try to pursue the licensing to do it.
Right. Well,
I-
I know which unit you're talking about. You're talking about that closet unit that, you
Yeah.
got the slant coil and the blower sits behind it. Those are the hardest things to get out.
Yeah, those
Oh, yeah.
ones we have to clean in place, and I'm not as thrilled about that, but
Mhm.
we do what we have to do with what we can. But on a normal unit, I'll pull the blower out, pull the heat strips out, get a full access. If I have to remove the insulation and reline it, I'll do that. So I'll basically reset it to new.
Or like in the case, oh no, they're a sponsor here. I can't name the name, but we all know the name. Of certain manufacturers, usually insulation just kind of falls out for you, and you just kind of pick it out of the
Nice.
Oh yeah.
you know.
No, we'll pin weld it. Pin
Oh,
weld
it's-
it back in.
To the unit,
Really?
dude.
But
You're
how
doing a
is
better
that-
job than the OEMs.
but-
Holy
I mean,
they're
smokes.
just drizzling a little bit of glue, like the.
Well,
How do you do
stuff.
that?
Do the glue.
How do you do that
How you
cost
pin
effectively?
parts, man?
though? How do you make money doing that? Why not?
Because
why-
it's the I guess cheaper alternative to replacing the entire system for the homeowner.
That's a
So
good
if they
point.
have a
Yeah.
couple thousand, I have a pretty affluent client base for the most part, but I still have those people
Right.
that hey, times are
Wow.
tough, money's tightened up, and we don't have the budget for it.
Maybe
right
SAC guys are just overwhelmed
can
with
scale
everything that we do.
So-
It's like a niche. You could focus
Is there
more.
such an air handler where you just throw your hands up and go, "Look, this needs to be replaced. This
Yeah.
is nasty."
now. Oh yeah,
The jungle.
Usually it's after fire and smoke damage where the
can't get
the
it out.
motor wiring is insulated with soot, and I can't wet clean that without potentially destroying the motor.
Hmm.
And I'll say, hey, that those are 22 coils are not. I'm not going to clean those and have them fall apart on me.
Right.
They're 25 years old
If it's
because I
fire
can't.
damage, they should have just gotten that. The insurance should be covering that replacement anyway.
Yeah.
I would think. Like, what?
Yeah, so I get hired to inspect the system after a fire. If it's minor fire damage, like a little
Oh.
microwave fire in a kitchen or something,
Right.
and
Oh,
somehow
okay.
got back to the return.
Zach,
Then it's not bad,
are you getting
but-
your leads from the HVAC companies, or are you getting your leads straight up from
HVAC companies, restoration contractors, and referrals.
Referrals.
Yeah,
I thought he
what
was going to
kind
say
pay for any
Facebook
leads.
Marketplace.
What pain points are people having when they call you? Well, let's say it's not a referral from
Yep.
any of those, and people are calling you out of the blue. Why are they calling you? What pain points are they?
Pain points are going to be air quality, number one, or like housekeeping. It's always dusty at home.
Right.
Ducts must be dirty. Poor airflow.
Yeah.
They think because their ducts are dirty that it's poor airflow. That's rarely the case. I mean, I've seen photos online where ducts are 50% filled with stuff, and that will affect it. But
Yeah.
your average duct cleaning is not going to do much for your airflow, but it might identify why you have poor airflow. Like throughout the process of cleaning, then we find that closed
Yeah.
damper.
And you're running the
Then
TrueFlow
we
grid,
find-
so
yeah,
you got
then
the
we
report.
Find the liner that's delaminating and peeling into the airstream.
I got to imagine that your static pressure and heat pumps would actually go up because once you clean the coil and the blower wheel, all of a sudden the thing's making the pressure that it was supposed to. So you just got to be able to explain to the customer, hey, static pressure went up. That was a good thing. You were right.
Yeah.
And so did your airflow, and obviously a TrueFlow grid to show you that relationship.
Yeah. And that'll cover them. Yeah.
And I tie in a service visit back to the HVAC contractor after I've made airflow improvements past a certain level.
Okay.
If I go switch out a couple of vents, it's probably not going to justify a return visit. But if I go change or straighten out a bunch of flex ducts that were hanging like McDonald's M's for a while, that may change things.
like
they
that.
may need to
So
change.
I'm
the
gonna write that
refrigerant
down.
level.
That's making it to a roast video one of these days. McDonald's M's.
I got
like
something I'm going to show you. It's a sneak peek. Okay, you ready?
Sneak
You're going to
peek.
like this though. Imagine if you knew what would happen. So
Oh, I know where this is going.
So this is a beta version of what's coming, right? At
Or
probably
casting,
the only,
right?
yeah. And so here see those blue dials. This is just the change airflow target workflow. So like, let's say you're here, and then you change it, and before you clean it, that's where you're going to be if you hit your target design.
I want access to that now.
I know. so do I, but I don't quite have it all the way. And then from there, I can then see results, and now I'm going to recalculate even your sub pressure dials.
I'm super
So
excited.
that's I don't have an
Yeah.
exact date, but it's soon. It's coming soon.
All right. You
So-
want to throw that to this camera?
No,
Yeah, that is
no,
slick.
I don't
All
want
right.
to get fired. Just want-
get fired at the summit.
That is great having
Fired
a
at the
predictive
sun.
model.
no, I'm teasing it out there, man. It's coming. Everybody knows it's coming.
Yeah, you've teased it on you've teased it on some of my classes before. You sat
Yeah.
in on, so
Yeah.
yeah,
It's I probably over teased it a little too
Yeah.
early, but
such a tease.
One of the
I
things
know.
that's helpful is when I do test at the end of a project, when I retest with the TrueFlow, I'll provide the before and after reports to the HVAC company, to their technician, and I'll say, hey, here's what I did when I got here, or here are the preliminary measurements. Here's what I did to make modifications. Here's where we're at now. And here's where you can come in and adjust refrigerant levels, adjust the blower speed.
And
things
they
along those
immediately
lines.
try to sell them a new unit, air scrubber, and
Hey,
like
here
all
were
the
your-
work that you built up. They just
here were your particle levels. Here's the kind of filter that
What?
you want to get. Or you may look into a ventilating dehumidifier
or this magic blue light kills COVID.
It does. We got a white paper on it.
until we get dust on it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty
man.
awesome. So me and Chris were talking on the walk over here. That of course we've been roasting duct cleaning providers.
not me,
for a
man. Don't
long
throw me
time.
in that bucket. That's all you.
No,
You're the gremlin.
You did a one online too, like the local guy.
Oh, you
No.
three set me up.
One guy, only one
Yeah,
guy.
I know, and-
but this is before I knew you. No,
And
I'm
that's what
sorry.
I'm
This
getting
is
at.
this is after I knew you, and I actually you've actually taught me a lot about what you do. So now I look at these guys in two categories: ones who know what they're doing, and ones
Right.
who are just screwing people, right? And so if the guy, if I literally just asked the guy online, I said he was really marketing hard into my local HVAC group, not an HVAC group, sorry, like a
Neighborhood group. or
neighborhood group.
community
Yeah, he was like pushing duct cleaning, and I just simply asked. I
Ron.
said, "Can you tell me can you show me performance data of any kind going in, going out? What's that process look like? That's all I want to know." And then the response I got was, "Hey, I sent you a PM, like a private message."
Oh,
and
no,
so I
you don't
went
get
back.
off that easy.
I went back. I said,
Hit me in the
"No, no,
DM.
no, that's not the game we're going to play here." I said
Yeah.
publicly, "I just want you to just let me know what's the performance data going in and what's it coming out. What do you do, and how do I know you're going to do a good job? That's all I want to know." And radio silence after
What?
that. But it's like he could have won huge. He could have said, hey, I go in with an air advice and I go in with a true flow and I test in. And then if he'd have just said that and then said, and then I go out with the same thing, I'd have been like, whoa.
So
hire that guy.
My experience with HVAC contractors doing duct cleaning has been a technician goes in there. He has a list of things that he has to try to sell the customer, try to upsell them on something. And one of the things is they talk about duct cleaning. They do the whole scare tactics, and you could have this. And what happens is they end up sending back an apprentice with a duct cleaning machine, zero training. He, finds a hole in the house, gets lost in it, and kind of disappears for a little while, comes back and said, you got a duct cleaning. And they said, well, you should have this done every 1 to 2 years. And that was a company that I roasted. They're saying, how often should you get your duct cleaned? And it was every 1 to 2 years. I'm like, what are you doing in your house? So talk about the difference between that contractor that's doing that and like a NADCA certified duct cleaner. Like, how should it be?
So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. When there are people posting in the community forums, things like that, and they're not putting a name of their company and they're not publicly responding with information,
right?
They're usually from out of the country trying to source leads that they sell to the cheapest buyers, cheapest provider.
I didn't even think
I didn't even think it was a phishing scam either.
It's like
that was.
It's like people in Pakistan or other countries will sit there, try to get people to give their contact info and set up an appointment, and then they say, hey, duct cleaner, you want to buy this for $75?
Or they get paid for a click, like an orthodontist in Philadelphia.
So just figure out, touch on that to say don't ever trust
orthodontists in Philadelphia do duct cleaning. So worst orthodontist ever.
I've seen some weird clickbait, man.
You don't want to trust those posts if they can't give you like a public response. If they're like, "Oh, I'll PM you, I'll PM you," that's a red flag.
And what's the one where it just they cut open the 4-piece and they just vacuum air backwards?
The if they just like cut open
I've seen that
the
machine.
duct.
Yeah, it's just like a reverse blower. I'm like,
oh,
my blower's pushing air. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so that one's called a ram air. That is not something that, I guess every tool has its intended use.
Right.
A lot of tools are misused in duct cleaning, and they're not really, I guess, adequate to do the job right.
So that might be for like sheet metal duct and just kind of get.
That might be for.
It's got its purpose.
If you had an apartment and an octopus set up, and you just needed to run a brush and a shop vac down each of the branch lines.
Okay.
And then pull the blower to get access to the actual supply plenum coming off of it. But that's not for cleaning a regular system with a trunk line in any way.
Yeah.
Really?
No. It's not going to do a good job. It's going to loosen up the dust and stuff that it comes in contact with. It won't extract it. And then people are pissed when they turn the system on. It blew dust all over. They're like, these duct cleaners. Like,
this is why we roast them, dude. It's crazy.
I mean, if only they put a T-shirt in front of their supplies, then they wouldn't have that problem.
See, we're teaching right now, baby.
Like I run a HEPA
you heard it in the
scrubber the whole time I'm inside, just so that while I'm cleaning inside, I'm cleaning the air in there as well.
Oh, so you're doing like
Comparetto
cube thing. You've got a HEPA machine running in the house.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, but you're saying, okay, so I'm trying to track here. Make sure.
What is this kid not doing? I mean, should we ask that question?
So are you saying, according to what he's saying, they've cut a hole in the system, they're brushing, and everything's going back and being sucked out of the house is kind of what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
But you're saying you wouldn't do it that way. You would do it differently.
If they're sucking it out of the house, if they have like a negative pressure, a vacuum outside or trailer mounted vacuum, that kind of thing, that's pulling it, it's going to look like a leaf vacuum, like a 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch hose.
Yeah. That's what I've seen. Yeah.
Full powered system. That is going to be good because that's when you're actually cleaning, you're loosening the contaminants with either brushing or air compressor powered tools, and then letting them go in the direction of the vacuum and out of the home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Use any type of like fog machine, a mister.
I'm not a fan of using chemicals if we don't need to.
Yeah.
It's my thing of last resort.
Yep.
Like fiberglass, yes. Fiberglass lining. That's about the only one that I will typically use. Other than that, steam.
I was going to say, do you deploy steam in residential application?
Dry steam.
Dry steam.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Dupre steamers that are a couple thousand.
Ooh.
It can get, get enough cleaning to get
Yeah.
through the 1 inch or so thick residential coils, 1 to 2
Wow.
inches. The wet steam will get through the much thicker coils in commercial, but that's too much to bring into homes and actually feasibly do.
I bought a
Is
$300 one.
I
it was
mean,
horrible.
There's, I guess,
Coil
different
cleaning.
levels of temperature of steam. Or what kind of
Yeah.
steam are we working with? Is this like steam that where like if you accidentally cross your hand with it, you're gonna get burned? Or
If you leave it sitting on your hand, you're going to get burned. If you I can cross my hand with the wet steam, and as long as it's fairly fast, it's not going to scald me. But if I sit there and I hold my hand still and then start blowing it,
Why would one do
temperatures up
that?
to 330. Exactly. Yeah.
Told my wife to not put a
I'm just
hand over the
thinking-
rice cooker. All right.
Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
yeah, I guess I'm asking is like, what's the
Is it
dangers
on?
of
Yeah.
working with these tools? I mean, these sound like some sophisticated tools, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's crazy, man.
the dangers potentially would be more of like moisture carryover into the system. I guess that I would think. Physical danger to the user if they modify the tools, like if I put a zip tie on the gun trigger so that it stays spraying and then I drop it and it starts spraying at me. Like you would have to do something stupid
Or regulate the temperature of the steam. I mean, I'm not sure if
Yeah.
these are adjustable controls.
So is
but
a dry
you could-
steam, is it
They
hotter
are.
than a wet steam? Is that what makes it? I should know this because I we're talking about steam heating, but what?
I think
Yeah.
this is a
So-
tie into psychometric with
yeah,
Saturdays.
Saturdays, man.
Psychometric
Must
Saturdays.
have to insert something about
Dry
steam.
steam
I'm a
is the
fan.
volume of water that's coming through the unit to provide the steam. So the wet steam is gonna be like scalding hot, but it's
Okay.
still gonna have water that can heat up to 330 degrees. So it instantly sanitizes whatever surface it comes
Okay.
in, hard, non-porous surface it comes in contact
Yeah.
with, like the
Okay.
coils.
That's why I got the wet steamer.
Yeah.
Try to cut down on the
So
biological.
dry
man.
steam just has less water molecules in it.
Less water flow going through it at that temperature.
Right.
Okay.
So less water flow lets it actually fully evaporate
Gotcha.
into the
Okay.
steam. And it's still very good.
It
with
makes
cleaning.
me think of like what we call sugar blasting versus sand blasting, right? It's like sugar blasting is just little bit of almost sand, and you're just trying to clean a little part. So it's, you don't have the full flow of a lot of sand. And then like if you're doing a race car, you got sand blasting,
Yeah. And the water flow
terrible
is
analogy, but
what
Sugar
the
blasting.
coils
part of
can
my youth
handle.
and I had to talk about it.
We're gonna put in the link below. Sugar blasted.
Sugar blast.
That's somebody's new nickname here. Is
Yeah, sugar blast.
Sugar blaster.
We're gonna call it-
Oh man.
I mean, what do you
That
call it? That's what we used to call those
Yeah, no,
machines, where you put your hands in the, you have
Yeah.
this little machine, you put your hands in, you clean parts. I thought
Yeah.
they were called, aren't they called?
Oh, yeah,
sugar
like the
blasters?
I'm gonna make
cabinets.
a name for myself.
Well,
The
we
lab
always called
cabinet.
it sandblasted, but you had different, type of material in there. Depending on what you were trying
Right.
to do.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Now, was it real sugar though? I know we're getting off topic.
That fine sand. Is that what you mean?
I remember only doing it a few days. It's a long
Sarasota
very
beach
short
sand,
story,
that's what
not a
that
good
is.
story, but no, I don't.
Okay.
It's not. I don't think it was sugar. I don't remember, but it wasn't.
I've seen guys use
know.
baking soda
That's
for
I've seen
blasting.
that.
Yeah, so that's real.
I think it was just a different type of
Yeah.
sand.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
small.
we're getting off on a tangent, but that's fine.
Maybe it was like a
That's all right.
sugary type of sand,
would
like very,
say-
very
Yeah.
fine.
I mean, you
I
don't
know.
want to
Yeah.
like put it on a cake or anything.
Right.
It's not uncommon for there to be cleaning chemical residues on the coil that did get fully rinsed out before by whoever last serviced the coils.
What about drain lines and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. I clean those out.
Oh, you get into that
So-
too?
How,
Okay.
what's
I
your method?
clean everything from where air enters the return grill to where it gets distributed through the supply grill and everything
okay.
in between, and the outside coil.
Speaking of supply grills, you were talking to me last night that you actually will go in and recommend better supply registers to improve airflow.
Yes.
Nice.
Do you guys mind if I ask them about that?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
jump in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's cool.
So yeah, we have, most homes have their stamp face 1/3 inch fin spacing.
Mhm.
And if the static across the grill is higher than that 0.02, 0.03, I'll say, why don't we get a little bit wider, wider space, curved blade, adjustable supply registers and put those up because they have less airflow
resistance.
restriction.
You get into
too.
air
That's a tough measurement though. So I've tested this a lot at TC headquarters, and here's what I learned: if you put a static pressure probe in a boot in the center, more than not, you'll get a negative pressure right there. And so I hear what you're saying. So I guess what I'm asking is, are you looking up like the flow measurement that should be coming out of that grill and looking at the pressure drop chart? Or is there?
So I'll take my airflow hood because I keep that with me in the field as well.
Yeah.
It's got an airflow.
And if I'm measuring,
Got more tools than some
What flow hood you packing? What do you got?
I've got a TSI EVT 731.
Nice.
So some for right there.
Yeah.
And then I've got a like FLIR camera, but I'll get the airflow
Got a
measurements
FLIR camera.
What?
and I'll look at the ducts while I'm doing my inspection. And I'll see that's a really long flex line. It's kinked at the end over that, ceiling rafter, or it's supported it's choked right now. And I know which ones to go target with the airflow hood, just visual inspection, looking at them. And if it is performing as expected, which is going to be well under the 100 CFM range, then I might say, okay, we need to adjust this installation, fix it. If you put a hard elbow in over that,
Yeah. Well, I got bad news for you, buddy. You're not really a duct guy. You're a home performance guy without a blower door.
All you need is a blower door.
That's all he needs is a blower door.
You're ready to go, man.
He's really just.
But then
Guys,
he
I
wouldn't be
think
doing
he's-
as much duct cleaning. And
I
then
think
the
he's
community suffers.
making.
He's really not a duct guy.
He's making it pretty well in the duct cleaning game.
Yeah.
Like y'all,
Well,
the sentiment I'm reading from y'all two right now is like he should be upgrading to home performance, when I feel like maybe home performance should be going to duct cleaning.
That's kind of
Right.
where I'm.
No, I
going
just
at.
want
It's like
to. I just want to change his name tag. That's all.
It's you're raising the bar in duct cleaning that we all have always imagined is way down in the basement. You're raising
Right.
it up here, but honestly, we as HVAC contractors as a whole are way below that bar anyway. So we have no business looking down at duct cleaners if they're doing it anywhere close to your level. Because I'm sorry, you're taking more data than your typical HVAC technician. That's why every time you say I'm handing this data off to the technician, I'm like, the local ones that I know don't know what to do about static pressure. And the local ones I know don't know what to do about a register. And that's pretty amazing.
I'll
stuff.
tell you, David Richardson wrote an article, and I think you were the inspiration behind it. And it was about I don't remember, what was the title?
It was Duct Dynasty. Our duct cleaners, the new duct renovators.
Yeah.
And it was, I think part of
And they
that
could
was
remember that article
because when I talked to David, I was like, I've been doing this stuff for years anyways. Like anytime I pull a flex off, I pull it straight. When I put it back on, I'll shorten it if it needs it. Or I send him pictures of a duct saddle from like 2022 that I installed. And it's just like, I didn't have a name for this. I just
the
did.
HVAC trade become so rooted in thinking they're above the ductwork that it's literally duct renovation, duct cleaners are going to take over that part of the world? I mean, is that the direction we're headed?
I mean,
That's the direction I'm
Natco
headed.
ones could, not your, I
think it's gotta
I don't
be-
understand why.
I just think
I
they're
don't,
overwhelmed, man.
I don't
know.
understand how he can turn what he's doing into good business. Why HVAC guys look at ductwork like it's not good business? It
because
doesn't make any
box
sense.
selling is ultimately a higher profit margin than traditionally ductwork. And obviously you're making a good living doing it, but we as an industry, when I say we, I totally mean they, not me. But but we look at selling units, and IEQ upgrades is just, this is where, like, this is the model that is going to make me a millionaire, and all the other stuff is not going to get me there, where you're making a really good living doing that kind of work and probably close to the profit margin, but it's not your traditional path to being a millionaire HVAC owner, which is what pretty much what drives a lot of these guys that are trying to scale their
I'm
business.
going to eventually sell out to the big box,
Right.
So we've got to, so we're getting close to that. We're going to have to wrap up, but there's a question in the text that says, do you have a duct blaster?
I do have a duct blaster.
Do you?
Nice.
Yeah.
All he needs is a
And I've
blower
actually,
door, man.
That's it.
I remember I
What
reached
tools
out to
do
you,
you not have?
blower door. Actually, my next probably tool after a duct blast or a blower door would be maybe a laser ablation cleaner.
Laser
I'm sorry,
ablation
what?
cleaner.
What?
Yeah, that's on my list too in
Yeah.
True Tech Tools.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
a
in my-
surface press.
that's in my
Saved.
cart right now, actually.
Fire the laser.
That one I got to save up a little for.
So what does that do?
Oh, that'll remove rust off of surfaces.
I've seen
Oh,
the videos.
laser
Yeah,
cleaner.
okay, laser
Yeah.
cleaner.
You're
yeah.
definitely not want to hold your hand in front of that thing for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Does okay on hands. Yeah.
I got a little squeamish cell you can blend,
Yeah. Get the mole off.
So what are you going to do with that tool?
That would be surface prep on commercial air handlers to apply air handler restoration products like surface repair coatings for metal that would extend the life of that equipment for quite a bit longer. There are epoxy based coatings for like drain pans that can prevent them from leaking, or if they've started leaking.
You want to basically get the rust out of it. So if there's surface rust, you want to get
Okay.
rid of the rust so then you can
Yeah.
coat. That way the rust isn't continuing to eat away.
Exactly.
That's what I need for my truck. Kid hit it with a BB gun. It's rusted out.
I
Yeah.
think you have a business model that could be a franchise for small owner operators.
Yeah.
Doing high end duct renovations. And now, do you ever call it do you ever use like the hairdresser terms? Like, do you ever call it like a duct rejuvenation? Or do you ever like get
Not
into those
used for
little
exfoliation?
duct exfoliation? That actually would.
Yeah. Is that what he said?
Well,
No,
no.
I said I've not done a.
Oh,
And
okay.
please don't, because I like you, but I will roast you if I hear you say that.
All right. I got one last question.
What you got?
We got to bring it down. If someone is looking to partner up with a duct cleaning company to get that level of service and build a rapport with the HVAC community. I'm an HVAC contractor, right? And I want to partner with you because you do what I don't, vice versa. I want to get leads. I want to pass back and forth.
Synergy.
Where do they go to find that synergy and
So
find that person?
I would say look for the NADCA companies in your area as a baseline. And there's
It's in there.
there's what I'd say like two types of NADCA companies. One of them is going to have one certified guy who sits in the office all day and sends out technicians. The other one's going to have certified technicians in the field doing the work and actually providing the quality of service that you'd want to build your reputation on. I would go for the latter of the two and say, I want technicians that are certified doing the work. So at least they've demonstrated that they know how to successfully clean a system, that they know what's expected of them and how to handle different types of duct materials.
Wow.
Where'd you get this kid from?
And then from there, who are the nerds out there? Who
Wrote a
wants
letter
to,
to Santa, dude.
Maybe the most
Right.
important grapevine you've ever done.
Bro, this is
that's 'cause
exactly
I'm
what
here.
I had in mind. I think it is. Got a little Tim. For home performance guys. I've been
Oh, yeah.
hoping that home performance guys and HVAC guys that just want to sell boxes get up with somebody like him, kind of like this whole,
yeah.
here's I've tested this. Here, go in there. I'll even test out. I mean, it's amazing.
Test in, test out in any process is always the best way.
Yeah.
Well, it really changed my processes when I started doing the testing, getting the data, because I could see how different activities affect like particle levels inside throughout the cleaning process. That's why I have an air scrubber that I run throughout the process, and being able to see how different, when I code a duct system and I look at the air quality report, I see the VOCs go up that day, but when I come back 2 or 3 days later, they're almost back to baseline, if not.
So it cures pretty
There.
quick. That's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
That's good to know.
Green Guard Gold certified product, and it's
Nice.
as good
Not
as it
sponsored,
gets.
right?
Not sponsored. I didn't say who the manufacturer was,
Well, man, I mean,
Amazing.
but
couldn't ask for a better grapevine show,
Right?
there. Am I
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. This
So,
is awesome,
dude,
man. I learned
man,
so much listening.
Thank you for
to
coming on.
thank you.
Tim Pistachio. Pistachio.
Thank you for inviting me, Chris. This was a treat
Bro,
being on.
we got to have you back on, please,
Yeah,
man.
Hey,
we
man.
got to watch some videos together.
I mean,
and,
shout out to NCI, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we
we
wouldn't
gotta
have
do
met you
that.
if it wasn't for NCI.
that's right.
Yeah.
And the summit. So
Right there.
This is where people like you are drawn, and we come together and we collaborate and we learn together. And
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the good guys, bring them with me, and start
Cool.
exposing them to, hey,
That's awesome.
we
dude.
can partner up,
Yeah.
and not piss each other off the whole time doing bad work.
and we'll keep Tim off your back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
All right, guys. Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.